Oma Jema Shrima Bhakta Om Shakti Ma. Hail Mary, full of grace, we are all one. Oma Jema Shrima Bhavatu Kamawa Dasa Bhakta Om Shakti Ma. There is only love. How does Shaktipat work? Is it possible to have too much Shakti, too much Kundalini in this context? What is Kundalini sadhana? When we use willful practices or exotic plants, there can be a possibility of overuse of force or of will or of potent chemicals. And this leads to potentially dangerous situations for the body, for the mind. It can lead to a Kundalini awakening that's distorted, or if Kundalini is already awakened, a distortion in that awakening. In a more energetic terms, we can say that the Kundalini can be forced into the wrong nadi or wrong channel. And when that happens, it can be incredibly painful and problematic, and sometimes difficult to rewrite the ship. In our sadhana and Shaktipat, there is no danger of this whatsoever. Unlike Kriya Yoga, Kundalini Yoga, and other fire systems of will, where there are often problems that arise that we are not publicly aware of, but practitioners know amongst themselves many stories of plant medicine ceremonies or intense yogic practices going wrong and leading to incredible states of pain, sometimes lasting years or a lifetime. It seems to be the Kundalini that is causing the problem, but it's not the Kundalini, it's the willful, forceful submission, the controlling, the manipulating of the Kundalini that is causing a repeated aggressive distortion within the human system. So in our system, we don't use will. We are in a feminine path of surrender, of allowing, of receptivity, of trusting. It is not the egoic mind seeking to control a wild force that it fears. It is the heart opening to the blossoming that it is, opening to the love that it is. It's quite a different experience. Many in our system can also feel a sense of being overwhelmed by this love, by this energy, by the goddess. And this goes to the very nature of what your predisposition is towards the universe or towards existence. Do you trust existence? Do you trust the Tao? Do you trust the Divine Mother? Have you taken a leap of faith? Do you believe in the benevolent nature of universe? If you don't, and there's fear and distrust at a subconscious level, then this will serve as a significant block into continued awakening. Yet make no mistake, the Kundalini Shakti, Grace, knows exactly what she's doing. She needs no instruction, control, manipulation, and force. In fact, she reacts quite poorly to that. So you might be feeling overwhelmed with the amount of energy and love influxing into the system. But make no mistake, that influx of that divine energy, of that love current, is you. It is the very essence of who you are. It is nothing outside yourself to overwhelm. It is the blossoming forth of you. It is the blossoming forth of the love that you are and you've always been. We are not using will and force and manipulation to move Kundalini Shakti around. We are surrendering to her, to this divine energy, to this force, which is nothing apart from our own sweet self. And have faith and trust verified by experience and by others' experiences and our intuitive knowing. So the overwhelmed sensation, wow, this is a lot of energy. I'm feeling discombobulated or ungrounded, or a lot of things in my life seem to be going wrong all of a sudden. And therefore we want to control and we want to slow things down. We want to regulate the flow of love that we are because we feel overwhelmed. Well, what is overwhelmed? Who is overwhelmed? It is the egoic structure, the personality complex that is overwhelmed. Of course, there's a new sheriff in town. Sheriff of love, maybe that's a poor metaphor. But there's a new presence, felt to be new, presence within the human system. And the ego mind is desperately trying to retain its supremacy and its control and use what it can of this love, of this energy, of this grace for its own egoic purposes, and leave everything that it can control or use in some way. So it's the ego structure that is overwhelmed, and that is a good thing. That's what we want to have happen. The overwhelming again and again and again of all that doesn't serve you. It must be overwhelmed by love and by grace. It's only your clinging at a subconscious level or a conscious levels to that which you believe or think, or your memories or your emotions or your patterns or your samskaras that cause this distortion to persist and cause this overwhelmed feeling to persist or intensify. This force of transformation, this force of love, seeks to overwhelm your egoic structure so that you remember yourself as divine love. So there can be, in this path, in Shaktipat, in this Kali path, there can be no question of too much love, too much Kundalini, or too much Shakti. It is a fundamental misunderstanding of who and what Shakti is and who and what Kundalini is. The stories about Kundalini emergencies or problems with Kundalini, as far as my research and my experience goes, is almost entirely due to ethnogens or intense yogic practices. This practice, Shaktipat, is so subtle. You will never receive more than you can handle. That would be a complete paradox to the divine nature of reality. Why would the divine give you more than you could handle? Why would the divine overwhelm you to the point of some kind of problem, physical, mental, or emotional? That's what I'm saying about the benevolent nature of the universe. Do you believe that that could happen, that the divine could overwhelm you and cause you problems and destroy you and want your demise? Or is that divine intelligence, that love and that grace seeking to enlighten you? And its power, the power of love, is serving that enlightenment. You are the Kundalini. This is your highest feminine self. We can look at it that way. waking you up to itself. So there cannot be too much of this divine self, because that is who you are. In fact, one should pursue more and more of the Kundalini in this subtle way. That means meditating on Kundalini, being devoted to Kundalini, surrendering to Kundalini again and again and again, worshiping Kundalini, being around others who are also in the same state and in the same heart frame, watering this Kundalini, following the Kundalini's guidance, paying attention again and again and again to the Kundalini, meditating one-pointed focus on the Kundalini. That is this path. And that's what will bring you into the highest states of consciousness, of love and joy. Om Ma Jai Ma Vama, Bhakta Om Shakti Ma, Hail Mary, full of grace. We are all love. Om Ma Jai Ma Shri Ma. Om. Merry Christmas.